Welcome back to the UFC Pros Pick Show. I am James Lynch. He is James Krause. And of course, we're joined by Nick Kalikas. UFC Vegas 56 going down this Saturday. Krause is there live on the front lines. Let's get into the main event. Heavyweight fight. Alexander Volkov, Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Alexander Volkov, the favorite, minus 155. The comeback on Rozenstruik, plus 135. Nick, what do you see in line movement wise? Because it seems like the odds have been pretty close the whole time.
Yeah, this is actually a very good opening line, and it's been staying steady. Not a lot of action from sharps coming in either way right now at the sports books. That means it's been steady two-way action. So we will see two-way action, I think, the entire time. I'm expecting the line to move one way or the other, obviously, on fight day, because we will get some sharper and bigger action at that time. But I think it's appropriately set, and I think a lot of people are having difficulties picking this fight, to be honest with you.
Well, this is why we have James Krause in here to answer those difficult questions. Krause, who are you going with in the main event?
Yeah, when you look at past the victory, but listen, Volkov has been my guy. Volkov's been one of my favorite people to bet on over time, just because he's been very consistent. I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't been overly impressed with him lately. He lost to Aspinall, which, you know, Aspinall is incredible. I think he's the future of that division, so I'm not going to hold that against him. But I did not think he looked incredible against Marcin Tybura, even in the win there. So. But when I look at past the victory here, I just, other than a stoppage, I just don't see how Rozenstruik wins this fight. And I know the stoppage is obviously like, well, yeah, no shit, that's a big, you know, that could be a big thing. But with somebody that has such low volume, fighting somebody that controls range so well, I just think he's going to have an extremely, extremely difficult time finding Volkov. And Rozenstruik has had issues finding guys that are much less rangier than Volkov. Overeem was a great example. I know he knocked him out with you know, a couple seconds left, but he was losing that fight easily. And he's just had issues in the past with his low volume. I just think he's having a hard time getting past the teeps and the jabs of Volkov. I don't want to say this is going to be an easy fight for Volkov just because Rozenstruik has that death touch. You know what I mean? So like he can knock anybody out. But as far as skill for skill, Rozenstruik's only path to victory for me is by stoppage, and I just think his volume is too low. Unless he comes out and like doubles his volume or has something way different than he normally does, I just don't see him winning this fight.
And you can find out Nick's pick for this main event on UFC On the Line. Make sure you check that out on UFC Fight Pass. For me, I'm going the other way. And just like you said, the only path to victory, I'm taking that path to victory. Rozenstruik by knockout. I'm off the Volkov train. As you know, I picked Volkov against Tom Aspinall. He looked so bad in that fight. And granted, Aspinall, I think, is the future of this division. Don't listen. I know all this. People don't need to tell me how good Tom Aspinall is. I'm very aware of that. I just think that Volkov is not the same guy. I know he's only 33, but I just don't think this guy has performed well in his last couple fights. And you've got a guy in Rozenstruik who I think has fixed some of those issues. You know, we saw against Blades, you know, just not very mobile, not able to do much. I think you look at him now, he's a little bit slimmer. I think he's going to be faster in this fight. And to me, like the Sakai fight's a great example where, you know, pretty even fight, and then out of nowhere, this bomb lands. It's 5 rounds. I'm willing to take that chance here. To me, if you want to play this you want to work a little bit of props and all that, I don't think Volkov finishes Rozenstruik. I think it goes the distance. He hasn't been finishing a lot of his opponents. You could take Volkov by decision and then take Rozenstruik by knockout. Rozenstruik's not winning a decision here. Let's get real. So maybe you play a little bit, maybe you add a parlay in there or something. I'm going to go Rozenstruik. Could we be talking about an Alexander Volkov decision on Monday? Of course. I'm not oblivious to that. I'm just off Volkov now, and I think Rozenstruik is going to perform well in this one. So I'm going Rozenstruik by knockout.
I like it.
There you go. That's how I'm leaning on that one. Okay, co-main event. Let me just start before we talk about this fight. The odds in this fight are just nuts. We've got Evloev taking on Dan Ige. Evloev minus 410 right now. The comeback on Dan Ige plus 310. Nick, I know the line's gone way. I know he was a favorite to begin with, Evloev, but the odds seem to be just crazy now. What have you seen since this fight was announced?
Yeah, it's basically doubled since the opening price. It opened around minus 200 market wide, now it's sitting around minus 400. And there is sharp action that came in and hit, obviously, the favor side in Evloev, driving that market up a little bit. And then once it got to around minus 350-ish, we got more sharp action, believe it or not, on that side. So they didn't hesitate to lay 350. Now it's minus 400. I'm not telling everybody to go out there and lay the 400 because now, again, if you miss the boat, sometimes you just got to stay away. So, but that being said, sharp and respected actions coming down the Evloev side. I'm not that surprised.
Krause, where are you going on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is similar to the main event, only you got a younger guys, obviously. I mean, I don't see a scenario where Ige wins a decision here. The there's been some holes. I mean, Ige showed some problems dealing with Korean Zombies Wrestling, who, in comparison to Evloev's, I don't think it's even comparable. But the disrespect on the line for me would be, I think Ige's power is getting slightly disrespected. And if people remember the Evloev fight against Dawadu, he gassed in that third round. So Ige's not a guy that you want to be a sitting duck against. You know what I mean? He's got power and he can hurt you. However, once again, if we talk about path to victory, I think it's very clear cut what each one of these guys are going to do, and I'm just not sure Ige is going to be able to stop this. So for me, the path to victory are the same. It's got to be Ige by knockout or Evloev by decision. Evloev doesn't have a single finish in the UFC, and I don't think he's finished a fight since like 2015, 2016. So I think this is just stylistic tough fight for Ige. And I'm not oblivious. I do think Ige can win this fight. I just think stylistically he's going to have to make some big improvements since that KZ fight in order to get a win here.
Okay, well, I have a couple questions for you before I give you my pick. Because we talked. I remember when we talked weeks ago about the Burns and Chimaev fight as an example, and the odds in that. Do you not see any sort of value on Ige with the fact he's plus 310? Because I think that is a little crazy. I think the line personally is a little bit too high, just because of the fact. And I know it's a bad style matchup, but just because you look at who Ige's fought. And I mean, those losses, even the Emmett loss, that was a close fight. Like, it wasn't like Emmett completely dominated the entire fight. So to me, do you put any stock in that, or do you think the line is where it needs to be?
No, I don't, because once again, we're looking, whenever we talk about betting a fight, this is what I'm looking at whenever I bet a fight. I'm talking about path to victory. Evloev is not going to sit in front of him like Josh Emmett. Like, you're comparing apples to astronauts there. It's not even close. Like, it's like Josh Emmett is not Evloev. They're two completely separate fighters looking at completely separate ways to win. Now, if you look at somebody more comparable, KZ even is not known to be a good wrestler, and he essentially wrestled Ige to a win over the course of 5 rounds. Right? That was 5-rounder or no?
Yes, it was.
That was a 5-rounder wrestling for 5 rounds. Now Evloev's just got to wrestling for 3. Once again, we talk about path to victory. And to me, there's a very clear-cut hole in Ige's game to a very clear-cut path to victory for Evloev. Now, once again, MMA math does not always make sense. And I know Nixick and those guys, man, those guys come ready. They come ready, and a lot of the coaches in this game are naive, and they don't want to admit that there's holes in somebody's game. And Eric Nixick and those guys at Couture are not one of them. Like, they understand that there was a hole there, and I can assure you that they've worked really, really hard to fix that hole. Is it going to be enough? I don't know. But to me, it's very clear cut. If you want to play Ige, you don't even play Ige. You play Ige by knockout. I just don't see him winning a decision here. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I just don't see it happening. If you're going to play Evloev, you got to play Evloev by decision. I just don't see him finishing Ige. Those are the only 2 plays on this fight that make sense to me.
And just to clarify, I don't know if I said this wrong, but the zombie fight was 5 rounds. Emmett was only 3. I might have screwed that up. Yeah. Just I have to remember here. And just one last thing on the Ige fight. What do you make of him training at Elevation Fight Team this camp with Justin Gaethje? I know Gaethje doesn't use his wrestling, but obviously came from a wrestling background. Trevor Whitman and all that. Do you make anything of that? Do you think it'll make a difference?
No, I mean,
I'll take that as a no. It's all good. I was just curious about that angle too.
I don't want to say no. I gotta say that there's a certain level of confidence that comes with training with new people. But I just typically, you don't see a big flaw in somebody's game like that get fixed in 6 months to a year. It just doesn't work. Like, it takes years to fix. Evloev has spent a lifetime wrestling people down that are trying not to get wrestled. 6 months to a year of stopping that it's typically not enough.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you there. All right. The suspense is over. Obviously, I'm taking Evloev as well. I also like him by decision in this fight. I don't know about Ige by knockout, to be honest, because he's only had 2 knockouts in his UFC career. So I don't know if that's going to happen, and you're fighting a guy who's undefeated. No. Maybe it happens, but we'll see. I could also see Ige potentially winning a decision, but I think if you're just going to bet Ige, just bet him as is at plus 310. I think that's good odds if you like him. I just said
if you're gonna play him, to me, the only play is by knockout, because I don't see him winning a decision here. I personally don't like. He's going to bank 2 rounds. I just don't see it.
Well, what I'm trying to do here is disagree with you, so then people, that makes the show more entertaining here. That's really what this is about. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so I'm going Evloev as well. I don't think they're Evloev. I think I said his name wrong, but yeah, I'm going with him to get it done in the co-main event. Okay, let's get to our prop bet of the week. Kraus, what are you liking here?
I like the one you're about to say a lot. That was actually going to be my play of the week. I'm glad you picked it because I feel even better about it now. But there's a couple other ones that I like here. I'll just, man, with weeks like this, it's tough because there's nothing that like I'm in love with. Like typically when I look at the card and I'm like, there's always one or two that stands out to me, right? That I'm like, oof, that's the one. And there's just really not anything that's like a 5 out of 5 to me, but I have like 6 4 out of 5s, if that makes sense. So, I guess my next one, I'll just throw another one out. Trezano by decision.
Oh yeah. I like that.
Another one I like.
Yeah, he hasn't. I don't think he's finished a fight in the UFC. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that. And I think Trezano will win as well. Nothing against his opponent. I'm a big believer in level of opposition. You look at who Trezano's lost to: Grant Dawson, who you know quite obviously well, and then Hakeem Dawodu, who I think is very good in that weight class. So that's not a bad loss to have either. My prop bet of the week, in case you haven't kind of noticed, I said it already. Evloev by decision is -200. Now you know me. I'm not just going to give you that. You got to get some nice value, close to plus money here. I'm going with Krause's guy, Jeff Molina. I really like him in this fight. I think Molina is, and I'm not saying this because Krause is on here. I think he's the future of this division. I really like him. He's just not only just a great fighter, but just very smart about the game too. You hear him talk about fights. He knows what's going on here. So I think he wins. You parlay those two together, you're getting better value than just -200. I actually think -200 is generous for a -400 favorite, if we're being honest. So that's my parlay piece. But yeah, Evloev by decision is the key piece there. And then you could do someone else. But I think Molina, right now you're still getting him under 2-1. So that's going to be my prop bet there. Okay, let's get to our bet of the week. Kraus, what are you liking here?
Once again, I got a bunch of these that I like. I like Molina, but I don't really want to play him because he's my. I'm going to play him for sure. I don't want to give you guys that pick because he's my guy. I like Volkov by decision as well. That's another prop, but I like Volkov. I like Volkov by decision. I like the over 3.5 on that fight too. Once again, this is not anything that I'm in love with. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing that really stands out to me, but these ones are 4 out of 5 for me that I do like. And I do realize that death touch with Biggie is there. You know what I mean? But I just think that let's just go. I'll let you guys pick Volkov by decision or the over 3.5. I like all those. They're all, I like all of them.
I like that a lot because, again, if Volkov wins, he's probably not going to finish Rozenstruik unless it's late. I just don't see, he's not a power puncher. He's not a guy that's going out there getting first-round knockouts. So totally with you there. I'm taking a dog for my bet of the week here. And, I could have taken Rozenstruik. He's an underdog as well, too. But Nicholas Stoltze. Now, look, this guy has not performed well in the UFC. In fact, he doesn't have a single win. But he's fighting a guy in Benoit Saint-Denis who got absolutely obliterated in his last fight. That was a fight where I think you could have thrown the towel in a little bit. Obviously Grant, very, very durable guy here, but I just think, the damage he's taken, and Stoltze's a little bit bigger in this fight, a little bit more experience as well. He's got 17 fights compared to 9 for his opponent here. I'm willing to take a shot at the dog here. It's do or die here for Stoltze. If he loses this, he's getting cut. Benoit Saint-Denis, Warrior, all that good stuff. But I think Stoltze's going to go out there and pull off the upset. You're getting him at around plus 135. I like him in this fight. I know this is typically not the play I like to make, but if you're getting a fight that I think is very even, I'm going with the underdog in this one. So there you go.
Let's talk about this Alonzo Menifield fight. Have you guys heard the stuff on this?
The guy's records, Pat. Yeah, it was made up or something. Yeah.
Well, he had a different name.
Yeah, he had a different name.
4 different names, and even last night, people are finding more losses that are popping up out of nowhere. And I was gonna stay away from this fight. I have to play Menifield now.
You guys be careful, man.
There's one.
Careful.
Okay, I was gonna say there is one tidbit I bet you're not aware of in this fight with Alonzo Menifield, and I only found this out this week. You know who Alonzo Menifield worked with this camp? And I think it's actually might work in the opposite direction. Pat Barry.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are just saying that because of one fight. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. But can you? I'm going to ask you. No. But I'm going to ask you this from a coaching perspective, honest to God. And I want to. You're a coach, one of the best in the game. I'm curious your thoughts on this. Saif Saud, one of the best coaches in the game. No nonsense guy. He's not take any crap. I'm just wondering that corner dynamic with Pat Barry and him, because I can understand Whitman being a little bit more passive, but Saif and him. And
Saif will not be passive.
That's what I'm saying. So that's where I could see some conflict there. I don't know. I'm kind of guessing here as far as what may happen, but you look at what happened with Barry and Whitman in the Rose fight. I don't know. I think and then Menifield, in my opinion, too. I love the guy, great fighter, but a little bit inconsistent for my liking too. So that's kind of where I'm just.
That's why you gotta be careful. Exactly. Be careful
for sure. But for sure, like I was going to stay away from this. But I talked to Safe, and I will say this: they are headed in what I would consider the correct direction on how to handle this fight, in my opinion. Now, I know there's the corner dynamic or whatever, but like, I know the dude Menifield's fighting. I know he's a hammer for 5 minutes, and Menifield's shown some inconsistencies, but Menifield's not an easy guy to get out of there early. Like, I think he's shown that he's not an easy guy to get out of there early, and he's beat some decent guys. Is he inconsistent? For sure. But if you're telling me the path to victory, which is what I look at, if the path to victory for Alonzo Menifield to win this fight is to get out of 5 minutes, I have to play that. That's why I'm playing it, not because of the other stuff. If you're saying, hey, Alonzo Menifield wins this fight if he gets out of 5 minutes at -165, I'll play that. I like that. I'm willing to take the risk on it.
A lot of people are starting to come in that way as well. We're seeing the line slowly inflate. So all this, noise, I guess you could call it. And, there's a lot to it, though, for sure. But it is.
But this dude hasn't beat anybody. This dude hasn't beat anybody.
Yeah, I know. No, he's still going to be dangerous. And again, Menifield defensively, the inconsistency, he's not a cardio machine either, man. So if it gets out of round one, he's going to slow down.
Menifield should win. I mean, let's get real here. But again, like just knowing all this. And again, I had someone a couple of weeks ago, remember when we brought up Carlos Esparza's wedding? They're like, why did you mention that if you don't think it's a factor? I'm letting you guys decide. If you think it's a factor, I'm giving this information to you that I don't think is common knowledge.
I think this is a huge factor. You just said that. You said this a minute ago, and I agree with you 100%. Strength of schedule is huge for me.
Yeah, it is huge.
And this guy hasn't beat anybody. Like,
I know. Right.
It's. I just listen. Menifield's been in there with some of the best guys in the world, whether he's beaten them or not, or whatever. He's felt that presence in there, and that's a real thing. That is a real thing to be in there, win, lose, or draw with a high level guy. That's a real thing, and he has stayed strong through some of them. He hasn't won them all. I'll give you guys that. Nick said this. He's a little inconsistent at times. I agree with that. But if you're telling me, if you wipe all that bullshit off the table, if you're telling me his path to victory is to get out of the first 5 minutes, I'm going to take that risk all day at -165. No problem.
Yeah. And I would agree with you. I think he likely wins. I don't know. For me, I'm just personally just staying away. But that's my.
I would stay away too. Honestly, there's just too much craziness going on around the fight. But I do agree with you. What you're saying makes a lot of sense, though, Kraus. So
there you go. We're all agreeing by the end. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Again, I know a bit of a shorter show. We just wanted to get this out as soon as possible so you guys have time to place your bets. Join Kraus's Discord server. You got a lot. By the way, congrats on the new show. I saw, with Brandon Moreno, people haven't checked it out. Maybe let people know, Kraus, where they can find all that. I know Instagram is probably the best place, right?
Yeah. Well, like the Discord has it. My Instagram, the link in bio that has the link tree on it, has all my stuff. That's probably the easiest way. Go to my link in my bio on Instagram. It has all my stuff on it.
And we still get people saying, where's this Discord thing? And you say this, I think, every week that it's in your bio on Instagram. So just go to Instagram. And Nick, UFC on the Line, check that out, UFC Fight Pass. And The Gambler's Perspective, a new betting show coming out on UFC Fight Pass. Yourself and Gianni the Greek, and they have a very special guest for the first episode. I'm not going to reveal it. That's a teaser. That's what we call it in this industry. For myself, for Nick Kalikas, for James Kraus, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll talk to you guys soon.